Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And so we're going to be concise and jump right in with our guest. And with question number 1, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Elisa Garn, and I am the VP of Thought Leadership and Brand Marketing for GBS Benefits, and I also serve as the Executive Director for Utah SHRM, which is a nonprofit HR association. I own a small personal branding company called Me Degreed, and I'm also mother to a 9-year-old boy and wife of 11 years to Kevin Garn.
Well, you got your plate full with lots of different things, but you obviously stay busy and very successful. So we're glad that you take time to be here with us. So question number 2, what's the best thing about being a business leader?
It's actually kind of wrapped up in my philosophy of really where I've chosen to drive my career. I think the best part about it is you have this micro level opportunity to create macro change inside our world. So it's essentially tied up in you impact people's livelihoods and lives in a way that ripples out to, their families, their friends, their communities, which ultimately is what shapes our world.
And hopefully makes the world a better place, not only for ourselves, but those other people and the next generation. So
yeah, well, if you're being a good leader, then yes.
Which is what we want, right?
Exactly.
So question number 3, I hear from other business leaders that a lot of times their people strategy in their business can be more difficult, complex than their business strategy is in their business. What are your thoughts on that?
Common sense wise, it absolutely connects. People are complex and complicated and chaotic. And typically business processes, if done well, are a lot easier to replicate and predict and hypothesize with. So, if you're dealing with a strategy or something internal that is not human, it's a lot easier to predict the outcome. But if you're dealing with individuals and personalities and the stimuli that all of us experience in our lives, you can't really, prediction is probably the wrong word, but even just your ability to understand and comprehend where you have the complexity of things like bias and, even just looking at some of the things we've been experiencing in 2020 and how that's really shown to polarize individuals who have shared beliefs, very misconceived beliefs, or just everything that comes from trying to keep the momentum of business strategy moving forward and really effective engagement from your employees. It's a lot harder to do on an individual personal level when there's so many variables that you can't control.
Very good answer. I really like that. All right, question number 4. What strategy would you like to share with other business leaders?
Well, I can't take credit for this word, but one of my great mentors and truly one of my best friends, his name's Carl Sokia. He's a local HR thought leader here in the area. He introduced me to this concept called Peopletivity. And essentially what Peopletivity is, there's a great book from the 80s that talks about the 3P cycle where you have, I believe it's like productivity and you have performance and profitability. So you have these other elements that are being discussed, but it's completely missing the human element of what it's like to be productive and turn a profit inside business settings. And arguably, it starts with the people. You have to have a person to create the concept, the idea. You have to hire people to, bring that idea or that product to life. And then as you scale the organization, it takes more individuals. Even if you're running super lean and highly efficient, it doesn't really matter if there's not at least one person, arguably more, that are driving those results. So the idea of Peopletivity really being at the forefront of the cycle is what you're doing is you're focusing on meeting the needs of the individuals from their lens. Human experience is a big thing that I talk about and evangelize, and human experience is kind of like if you were to visualize an iceberg. We, as companies and leaders and managers, really like to focus on the top of that iceberg above the water level of people's skills and experience and their resume and what we've seen them be able to do at other companies. But anytime we hire someone and bring them into our organization and culture, there's that underside of the iceberg that's coming right along with them. So the important impact of this is you really need to create space for people to not only feel included, but really celebrated with the diversity and the individualism that they bring with them to your organization. Otherwise, it's a really missed opportunity to tap into discretionary effort, which is the major part that actually drives business results. You can hire people and tell them what to do and give them marching orders and task lists and create your OKRs and have all of that in your strategy. And you might be able to get the minimum done because you've tapped into exchanging time for money. That's a basic need. But if you really want to empower to that next level of getting the most out of your people, that highest amount of productivity, you've got to start with a Peopletivity lens of seeing people as individuals and meeting their needs and creating that space and environment for them to be themselves and feel like they don't need to change and, leave part of their life at the door, because that's just not realistic for the life that we live right now.
Very well stated. And I really like that concept and the idea. And I think you did a good job of explaining it in the limited time that we have. So very good. Question number 5 then. What other successful business owners, CEOs, and leaders would you like to acknowledge here and you think might be good on this podcast?
Well, I've already mentioned Carl. He is, in my opinion, he is the forefather of Peopletivity. I think he would be wonderful. He's extremely dynamic, very, very engaging, has a great lens on this. But others that I've really enjoyed working with, Levi Lindsay or Nick Stagg with Vid Army, have been doing some great things, especially in the startup space. And for sure, entrepreneurs, but also leading through this people lens as a scaling company. And really disrupting their industry as well. So I think those are 3 that would be great to reach out to.
Yes, I know some of them, and we'll definitely reach out to them and see if they're available. So a final 6th question, just kind of a fun question. Tell me about your favorite past boss.
I've been fortunate, I think, in my career to have mostly good bosses, people that I've really connected with and that I've really liked. But, when thinking about my favorite, it's probably my first mentor. So being very, very early in my career without a good sense of direction of what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go, I took a part-time seasonal HR admin job at a ski resort, which selfishly was just so I could ski for free because I was too poor to pay for a ticket. And I had an amazing manager there who, there was a layer in between us at the beginning of the season. And by the end of the season, my immediate manager had actually left the company. And so the higher level actually became my manager. And he was the one, sometimes people say that they push you into something. I really feel like Randy pulled me into HR and took the time to sit me down and give me specific reasons why he felt like I would be a fit for a profession in HR. This career has been exceptionally rewarding, but I really don't think that I ever would have recognized it myself if I didn't have somebody like that who I view as a true leader and I've learned so much from in the 2 years that we worked together. What mentorship looks like and the impact of strong leadership and what HR can actually do inside a company and organization when it has the credibility that it needs, but also is doing it from the lens of this Peopletivity space.
Awesome. Well, and hopefully you did get a lot of skiing in as well. So, but it sounds
I did,
like
and I didn't name drop his full name. His name is Randy Neitzel, and he's one of my favorite colleagues. We've stayed in touch through all of these years and still just learn from each other all the time.
Well, it sounds like it had a huge impact on, the direction, but also where you are in your career now. So that's
and he is the one that taught me to ski. So.
Oh. Well, it has been so enjoyable having you on today. Before we leave, can you tell people how they can reach out to you or get a hold of you?
Absolutely. I am a LinkedIn-er, if that's a thing. So that's the best place to find me, Elisa Garn, ELISAGARN. But they're also welcome to email me at Elisa, ELISA, at medegreed, MEDEGREED.com.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for being on. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights, you can follow us on LinkedIn or at Weaver Business Coaching or on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you the best success.
Thanks, Keith.